Good afternoon, friends. Don't mind how I look. This is the look, okay? It's the look for today. Hello. If you don't know who I am, first of all, thank you so much for clicking on my face. I'm Allie. Welcome back to my very little bookish channel where I read books and I talk about them, usually with tears because I am highly emotional. Anyway, this is another episode in my series where I read my most anticipated releases of the year. I am so excited for this one. Now, it's been a while since I last did this. And in my defense, I got distracted. And it's so stupid of me because I have been literally hoarding my new releases like a dragon. Like literally like a dragon, right? And not reading them, waiting for this moment. Am I crooked? I can't even ask you because you can't tell me. We are going to be reading some of my most anticipated releases. I did a video earlier in the year where I talked about my most anticipated releases. So more or less, it's kind of following that list with a few others thrown in that I just am excited about. So that's literally the premise of this video and the premise of this series. I am hoping to read at least 4 or 5 of my most anticipated releases in this vlog because I feel like I haven't done one of these in a while, so I kind of want to do as, you know, some. The books that I would like to read in this reading vlog are, so I'm not going to give a TBR because you know me, I am historically very bad at TBRs. That's my dog. Hey Hunter, he got a new toy, so he's very excited. Yeah, that's your new toy. Okay, he wants me to play with him. Anyway, but most of them are going to be, he's trying to destroy his new toy. Are you trying to destroy your toy? Hear me out, this could change. I really want to read Resonance Surge by Nalini Singh, and by really want to read, I've already started, but I'll update you when I get more into it because I've been attempting to work today. I also would like to finally read Love Theoretically by Hazelwood. I'm not putting these books up, like I'm not holding them because, as you know, things always change with me, but I like to start off the video telling you what I would what I hope to read, and then whatever happens, okay? It happens. But I would like to read Resonance Surge and Love Theoretically. I would also like to read Cursed Crowns by Catherine Doyle and Catherine Weber. I read the first book in that series, which was Twin Crowns? Twin something? It's a YA fantasy and I actually liked it. It was exactly what it said on the tin, and it was fine and it was fun and I liked it. I enjoyed my reading experience of that, so I'm interested to see. Sorry, my dog just is sniffing at my books. I would like to see if I still feel positive towards that series, but I enjoyed it. I also really liked in the first book one of the main characters whose name escapes me. She's obviously one of the twins, the one who grew up as the princess. I really liked how unlikable she was, and I really liked how we understood why she was unlikable because her entire, God, I'm slouching, I just saw myself. Because she's grown up literally with like a silver spoon and incredibly privileged and had no idea what was happening outside of her own bubble, and I liked her development. I thought it was interesting for a YA novel. So I would like to read Cursed Crowns. Again, we'll see. And that's all I'm going to say for now. That's all the books that I am going to say for now, just to open it up to if I want to read others. Off the top of my head, like there is a few fantasy novels that I would like to read as well. There's a couple books that I know are coming, like The Power Unbound by Power Unbound, sorry, by Freya is like dropping, I think, next week. So there are a few books that I would really like to read that are coming. So that's why I'm leaving it very open-ended. But what I'm definitely reading is Resonance Surge by Nalini Singh, because I'm 30 pages into that and holy fucking shit. It is so good. Already. It is so good. But I'll talk more about that later when I've read a bit more and I can actually update you with something significant. Okay. I'm really excited for this, friends. Hey friends. So, I'm gonna give you an update. I feel very far away from you for some reason. I don't want to get too close. Anyway, hi friends. Time for an update. So I finished Resonance Surge by Nalini Singh. I accidentally finished it before I gave an update. Wow. Let me grab it so I can hold it. Now, if you've watched the ultimate cozy book recommendations video that I made a few weeks ago, I kind of briefly talked about this world, because I just realized I don't think I actually said much about what this book is, and I can't necessarily talk much about what this book is without it being a spoiler, because this is book 5009 in the series. It's not 5009, but it's, I think, in the 20s now. This book is book 7 in the Side Changeling Trinity series, which is an offshoot series of the Side Changeling series. Okay, so you can't read the Side Changeling Trinity series without having read the Side Changeling series, because it's the same series, basically. Because questions that are brought up in the Side Changeling series are not necessarily answered, and they are continuing on in the Side Changeling Trinity series. So Resonance Surge continues on with that job, that goal of trying to answer some more questions. Now this one was really good. It was actually fantastic. I gave 5 stars. I'm very biased with these books. Most of these books get 5 stars from me because I just really enjoy being in the world. So this book centers on a woman named Theo Marshall. She is a character that we were introduced to a few books ago. She is the twin sister of Pax Marshall. Now Pax Marshall, the characters, Pax Marshall is a very powerful psi, so he has telekinetic ability, telekinetic or telepathic? I think he's a TK. Telekinetic ability. And he has been molded and honed into the heir of the Marshall Empire. Now, if you are familiar with this series, the term, like the name Marshall, brings back memories because their grandfather was Councillor Marshall Hyde, who was a psychopath of epic proportions, and he was assassinated by, it was either, or don't quote me on this, it was either the Arrows, which is like the assassination squad that turned rogue and started like protecting people instead of killing them, or it was one of the changeling packs in the US. It was either like Snow Dancer or Dark River. I don't quite remember. I need to reread this entire series. So we have these two characters. Now Pax Marshall isn't a main character of this book. He is on the periphery because he's Theo's twin, and he, the important part of his existence is, we were introduced to him a few books ago because there is this neurological psychic disease called Scarab syndrome, which is essentially destroying psi from the inside, but it makes them feel as though their power is infinite. And so a lot of them, in their quest to harness this power, and also because it sounds slightly like a psychotic break, where like the darkness, which is like this infinite power, is trying so hard to persuade you. And so Pax is dealing with that, and through the help of a psi empath. I'm using a lot of terminologies. A lot of you are going to be like, oh, what the fuck? Because it's, when I said in my video that the world building in this is top notch, it's top notch. There's just so much happening. So he's dealing with that, and Theo is kind of, has always been the back burner. She's very much the disappointment of the Marshall family, and if it wasn't for Pax and the fact that he's her twin brother and she can't be killed without him being killed, she wouldn't have survived, like, past teenagehood. So it's her story, and she is brought in. She's going to Russia because Pax is like, babe, I'm going through the finances of our grandfather, and there's money still being like siphoned off to this place that I think is a center. Now, a center is a rehabilitation center. So these rehabilitation centers were in when, so like in the Psi Changeling series, right, we're talking books ago, something really like huge happened, in that the government of the Psi imploded on but it happened on purpose by external people making it happen, because the way that the Psi council was kind of being orchestrated was very corrupted, and they were full of psychopaths. So that was a thing that happened. But as part of that regime, as part of sustaining this thing called silence, which for the Psi meant that you can't have any emotion. Emotion was completely eradicated from the Psi, which made it hard for a lot of people, but also helped ensure other people's survival, because silence kept a tight rein on abilities. But for others, it wasn't great. When silence fell, when the council fell, a lot of truth surrounding what these centers were came out. Now, these centers were for Psi families to send their children to when their children weren't practicing silence correctly. So what it meant was essentially a brain wipe, and these people became but empty vessels. Like, their personalities are completely taken away. They are just there. The best they can do is like menial tasks, very, very small tasks. They're puppets, basically. And so Pax is like, Theo, can you go check it out, because I can't leave, and see what's going on, and then we can finally like destroy it, because Pax realized that the Marshall Empire essentially controls so much more of these centers than he even anticipated, which speaks a lot to who Marshall Hyde, the grandfather of the counselor, was. So Theo's like, okay, I'll try. On the other side of the world, in Russia, we have a woman named Silva. Now, Silva Merchant is, her book was Silver Silence, which is book 1 in the Psi Changeling Trinity series. She mates with the alpha of the bear changeling pack in Russia, whose name escapes me for some absolute reason. Oh my god. I think, in my defense, the pack itself doesn't really play much of a force in this book as like other books previously. But the bear pack, the name will come to me. And Silva asks Pavel, who is one of her mates, the alpha Valentin Nikolev's like seconds, if he could accompany Theo to the center. He's like, sure. Unbeknownst to both of them, Pavel's been dreaming of Theo, because of course he has, since he was 16. And they stopped when he was younger. I think he had them until he was 16, and then they stopped, and then they just started again. And so when he meets her, he's like, holy shit, you're the woman of my dreams. And so because his family, his great-grandfather was a Psy as well, and he had foresight, so he could predict the future, he knew that his dreams were visions, but they weren't very nice ones because they were very bloody. But they meet, and it's almost instant, I want to say. Theo as a character is interesting. Nalini Singh writes really amazing women. She always has. I found Theo not to be like one of my favorite characters of this entire world, but she was engaging enough that I wanted to continue reading her story. She never really was silent, but she's so incredibly traumatized because of how her grandfather treated her and what he made her do. Pavel in the beginning is very much like, you're mine. I know that we're meant to be. So he tries really hard to forge some sort of bond, and it doesn't come across as creepy, it doesn't come across as inorganic, it feels very authentic. They don't know each other for very long, but it feels like they've gone through a lot together, which like technically they do. There's like a mystery element, there's a serial killer happening as well that gets resolved at the end, but the overarching plot, which is this big questions that we're having surrounding the Psynet. If you can hear my mum, she's talking to Hunter. But the questions that are surrounding the Psynet and whether the Psy race will be able to continue, they're not answered. We're actually just given more questions, and I think in some respects maybe people would say that this feels more like a filler book, and I could say I understand your point, but again, I love being in this world. I really don't care. I could literally read domestic fluff for literally for the rest of my life, and I would be happy. But we are left with more questions, and I'm really, especially with how it ended, with the scene with Pax and who comes to him, I am very intrigued to see where this is going to go, and I really wonder if we're going to get a future book that centers on Pax himself, because I think that would be interesting. But I don't know how they're going to figure out this scarab syndrome situation, and I feel like the answer is have those Psy like bond into a changeling pack, but like it's not as easy as that. But it feels very much like, I feel like that's the answer, but I think that's a bit too easy. I don't know. I just want the net mind and the dark mind to come back. If you know who those are, you're a true OG with the series. The net mind and the dark mind, well, the net mind was kind of like the Siri maybe of the Psynet, the knowledge holder, right? The net mind was the one who protected Psy, especially those who were vulnerable. They did their best. They were kind of sentient. They were able to communicate in images, but didn't necessarily I think they were quite childlike. They weren't able to communicate other than pictures, but they were also very, very intelligent. But then when the Psynet became corrupted because of silence, the net mind got split into the net mind and the dark mind, and they were twins. And so I feel like twins, scarab syndrome, net mind, dark mind. It's all going to come back into, like, to be quite important, I think. I just am so interested to see the next book, because I feel like the next book, hopefully we're going to have some answers to some of our questions. And I want more of the bear pack. I don't feel like the bear pack was like a strong element in this one, but what I did like is that we got a lot of Pavel's family. Now Pavel is also a twin, and I haven't spoken about Yakov. Oh no, I've got them confused. Yakov is with Theo and Pavel is with Arwen. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I can't believe I've been doing that for the entire time I've been reading this book. I forget who I'm reading. Yakov is with Theo, Pavel is with Arwen. Pavel is Yakov's twin brother, yep. And Pavel, he is with Arwen Merchant, and Arwen, he is the brother of Silver Merchant, and you get a bit of their story, but they fall in love like in the beginning of the Side Changeling Trinity series, so it was really good to finally get their perspective a little bit. But you have that, and Arwen is an Esai, so he was able to just like come in and do his E thing. And we saw a bit of Yakov and Pavel's family, but I really wish we had more of the pack. I love the pack bonds of this series. I just love it so much. But yeah, I gave it 5 stars because it's a Side Changeling Trinity novel by one of my favourite authors. I'm incredibly biased. This was so good. It was so good. But one critique, the whole like serial killer aspect and like who that was, the big final reveal, we didn't get to spend enough time on that. There was no unpacking. It felt very rushed. It honestly felt as though there needed to be 100 more pages. So all of a sudden it's happened and you're like, wait, what? What? Like, it just, that aspect needed to be unpacked slightly more. I needed to know what the purpose of her was, what the purpose of introducing the serial killer and introducing who this person is, why, you know what I mean? But I'm so happy I read it. I don't know what I'm going to read next. Hopefully the next time I see you, I will have chosen the next book that I want to read. I think I listed some options, and I would have chosen Love Theoretically by Allie Hazelwood, but I literally just finished Loathe to Love You, which is like the Steminist novellas. I wanted to finish off those novellas. I only had 2 to read, so I don't really feel like reading another Allie Hazelwood, but I'm not in the mood for like a YA fantasy. I don't know what to do, or like immortal. I'm just not in the mood for those, so I'm just gonna like chill and then choose and see what happens. I know that I have another unread Nalini Singh book on my shelf, but that's Archangel's Resurrection, which is part of the Guild Hunter novels, and that wasn't a 2023 release though, that was a 2022 release, I'm pretty sure. I can't read that for this. But maybe I'll read like a witchy book. I don't know. I will let you know. Whatever I read, you'll find out. So until next time, bye. Hey friends, don't mind the hair. Like, I need to wash it, and it's just being unruly and not fun to work with. Okay, hello. It's a bit dark because it's a bit of a dark day. Okay, let's just deal with it. Oh my god, my hair. I wanted to give it an update because I am reading a book that is kind of anticipated. I completely forgot that it was coming out, and it's really funny, and I hope you laugh because I am eventually going to read another book by this author within this vlog, but it's her adult romance, and this one is her young adult romance. This, I forgot came out, but I knew it was coming eventually, and when I saw it at the bookstore, I couldn't help myself. Allie Hazelwood is an automatic buy author for me. I absolutely adore her romances. They just work for me, and I picked this up. I was really interested to see how she did YA romance. I'm loving this. I'm loving it. Yes, do I wish that the characters were a bit older? Of course. I always do. I feel like in this period of my life, I'm turning 30 next year. Fuck. I want older characters in my books because I feel like you're so young and life happens, babes. Okay? It's never that deep. But in saying that, really, really loving this. So what is this book about, Alex? So Check and Mate by Allie Hazelwood is about chess. So my only attempt at like learning anything about chess is watching The Queen's Gambit, and I didn't even finish it because I kind of found it a bit boring. So does that. But this is about a young woman. She's 18. She just graduated from high school, and her name is Mallory Greenleaf, and she is a very interesting main character. Why do I say that? Glad you ask. Stay curious, friends. So Mallory's dad is not in the picture. I'm pretty sure he passed away, but something else happened prior to his death that fundamentally like changed her family, and she stopped playing chess when she was like an early teenager, and she's basically like a genius. She's got very like what's that word? There's a word, don't know the word, but she has an innate talent for chess, quite brilliant. But after everything that happened with her dad, which I don't quite know yet what happened, she stopped playing chess, and then things kind of went a bit downhill. Her mum got diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, so she is in chronic pain, and there are days where she can't even get out of bed. It's really horrible. I know someone who has rheumatoid arthritis, and I've seen how fucking horrible it can be. She had rheumatoid arthritis, I think, in her like feet and her hands, like specifically. So there would be days where she literally couldn't like move her fingers, and it was just horrible, right? So her mum has that, and she also has two little sisters named Sabrina and Darcy. Now, because her dad is out of the picture, has been for like the past 3-4 years, Mallory has taken on a lot of responsibility within the family. She's essentially the main breadwinner. She's the one that like organizes her sisters. She's the one that makes sure they goes to school, because obviously there are days that her mum can't literally do anything. And so Mallory's been doing that for a while, and as a result, she kind of works, I think, under the table at a mechanic where her uncle used to work, but now her uncle doesn't work there anymore. So Mallory it's hard. And she had a full ride. She got like a full ride to a university somewhere. I want to say in Boston, but I don't know. But she chose not to, even though she really wanted to. But she pretended to her mum and her family that she's like overlearning and she doesn't want to do it. Please don't make me do it. Why are you forcing me, kind of thing, just so that no one feels guilty. But she truly wanted to go to university because she kind of loves learning and she's good at it. But she's like, no, I need to make money because my family. So she's sacrificed a lot for her family, and she's a really interesting, I think, subversion of the stereotypical like YA heroine that we see. Because when you start reading it, you think, oh my god, she's not like other girls, you know, because she's a mechanic and she's like cool or whatever, I don't know. She doesn't like doing like those sorts of things, and I'm not like that and all that stuff. But it's not. She's definitely not. She's a mechanic. Well, she was a mechanic, and she's a gigantic nerd. But she's also, but she wears like really, like she loves dressing in like pretty dresses, and I just think it's really cool. I don't know. And she's also queer. Like there's not a specific, she hasn't like labeled herself, but she is attracted to any and all genders. And that's also quite a big theme in this one, is like sexual positivity. Like she, like her family is very open about that sort of stuff, and she's, you know, she's got a very active sex life. For an 18-year-old, I feel so old, right? Because I'm just like, that means that, anyway, like it's just young people. It makes me feel so old when I read about like young people. But it's cool. It's really cool. Then what happens is her best friend Easton, who, you know, they've been best friends for years, is like, oh, we're doing this charity chess thing. Would you mind terribly if you like on our team? Lol jokes, you have to do it. And so she goes to this chess thing being like, oh, whatever, it's not like I'm enjoying it, when in reality she is, because she fucking loves chess. She accidentally plays against the world championship chess person. World champion chess person? The person who holds the world championship in chess, whose name is Nolan. And he beats him. She beats him. And then she runs away. She runs away a lot. And it's kind of like, it's kind of getting a bit annoying. But she really struggles with telling people what she wants and like vocalizing her emotions, because, you know, she spent so long repressing everything because of what she, like, she's taking care of her family. So she's repressing her own happiness as a result of that, because her family take priority. And that's why she doesn't do relationships. She just does casual sex because it's too risky for her. That's in her words. So she plays against Nolan, she beats him, she wins. And then comes this woman named Daphne, who knocks on her door and is like, I want to give you a chess fellowship because no one's beaten him for fucking years. And I really liked your chess. It was brilliant. And I think that there's something there. And Mallory's like, no, I'm never playing chess again. Like, I can't play chess again. But things happen that eventuate in Mallory taking on the fellowship, and it's because she loses her job as a mechanic because her boss is a dick. And she says yes, and she becomes a fellowship of chess at a chess academy, which I didn't know was a thing, called Zugzwang. And Daphne's in charge of this and is also her mentor. And so that's what it is. And she meets again with Nolan, you know, at chess tournaments and things like that. And they kind of have not a banter, but kind of. He's very quiet, but it's really immediate when, like, he's obsessed with her. Like, this is definitely a book where he falls first, and it's really funny because Mallory is creating this narrative that, like, he hates her when it's, you can tell as a reader that it's not, and it's very cute. But I'm really enjoying it. Obviously the running away part and like not vocalizing and communicating your feelings is kind of annoying me, but I understand why she feels that way. And also she's 18, she's a fetus, okay? She's so young. Nolan is, I think, 2 or 3 years older, so there's that. And for me, Allie Hazelwood does a perfect, sometimes perfect weaving in of like actual commentary, because like she does it with her other novels, which, can you even see them? You can't see it, they're here. In her other novels, she also like commentates on the position of women in like STEM, right? Here it's quite similar. It's talking about the inherent misogyny that is as well as the just like the sexism and the gender inequalities that are embedded within the culture of chess as like an institution. And so she's like one of the very few women in these tournaments, and she just got invited to like a chess challenge championship situation thing, where she got picked because she's a woman. And her mentor Daphne was very open about that, and she's like, you were chosen for the quota, but also because you're in headlines at the moment. So it's kind of a really interesting like insight into this. I don't know much about chess, okay, I'm gonna be honest. My brain don't work like that, okay. My brain rarely works, to be perfectly honest, but I'm enjoying it a lot. I like the dynamic between Nolan and Mallory, but I feel like there hasn't really been a lot of them on page, and I don't think it's it's lessening my enjoyment, because I like Mallory as a character, so I like being with her through like her journey. Her little sisters kind of annoy me, okay? Darcy not so much, but Sabrina. So Sabrina is at that age, I think she's around 14, where, you know, she's in like a self-imposed bubble, but her bubble, she's very much like, I'm the victim. Mallory is being selfish because, like, how dare she work. None of her sisters, like none of her mother and Sabrina doesn't know that she's doing chess. Darcy found out because Darcy Googled her name. But I think I'm hoping to see some sort of like realization from Sabrina, at least, going, wow, you've actually done a lot for this family, you've actually done a lot for me, and I want to thank you, like, for being my sister. I don't know, I feel like, yeah, it's a bit strange, that dynamic, but the mother's like non-existent within the narrative. Like, she's there, but because I think just to emphasize like how hard it is for the mother to, you know, sometimes just be able to leave her bedroom, she's not really there in the story much. So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens when the mother finds out that Mallory is doing chess. Mallory blames herself for what's happened to her family. I'll be honest with you, what I think's happened, this is my prediction. Mallory found out on like a chess tournament with her dad, because her dad used to take her, that her dad was having an affair with someone, possibly within the chess world. Maybe she saw them, whatever. She maybe either confronts the dad or tells the mum, and then that happens, and like the divorce and everything. Maybe, and that's why Mallory blames herself. Or she also, maybe that is also what happened, but then the dad's like, well, yeah, because of you, I'm never home, so I needed to find someone or something. You know what I mean? Like, stupid excuses. I'm thinking along those lines. That's what happened with the dad, but I'm not too sure. And then he died. I don't know how he died. I think it was an accident, but just long story short, I'm really enjoying this, and I'm surprised at how I'm enjoying this. The writing feels quite similar to her adult romances, which I think is why I'm enjoying it, because I don't, as you know, I'm having a terrible time with YA recently, and so this is really, really fun. It's good. It's really good. Really enjoying it. I'll be honest with you, it's kind of sitting on a 4, maybe a 4.5. It's not a 5 for me at the moment. And why? I think it's because in comparison to her adult romances, I feel like the sexual tension in this is a bit lower. Like, I feel like, you know, in Love on the Brain, oh my god, I love that book. Love on the Brain, we'll even talk about the love hypothesis. Even in her short stories, right? The like Loathe to Love You STEMinist novellas, I feel like it had slightly more emphasis on the sexual tension. How do you even describe it? Like that fiery kind of pining, right? That I think is slightly missing from this, and I think maybe that will be because it's YA, but oh, I think that quintessential Allie Hazelwood like sexual tension is missing from this slightly. Not altogether, there is still, but it's dampened. Perhaps because of the audience of the novel. Okay, speak to you soon, friends. So we've gotten to the point of the book where Mallory is now really annoying me. You know how she runs away from her feelings? So yeah, it's very much like, woe is me, it's out to get me, everyone's out to get me. Well, not really out to get me, but like she just found out about who donated the money to the chess academy that she's got the fellowship at in order for her to have a fellowship. And now she's like, oh, I feel so betrayed, you lied to me. Did it make you feel good to come to my house and know that it's because of you that the lights are on? I'm just like, this is like the worst kind of conflict. So the 272, that's the page. And now I'm just like, oh God, how long is this going to stretch out now? This is gonna be so stupid. Anyway, I just wanted to update you because I've reached that point where Mallory is now starting to annoy me a little bit. Good morning, book nerds. Book nerds, book bitches, what would you like to be called? Book besties? I don't know. Anyway, hello. It is the following morning from my last update. I finished Check and Mate by Allie Hazelwood. I enjoyed it. I ended up giving it 4 stars because I still felt as though there wasn't a lot of time spent showing us the relationship between Mallory and Nolan, to be perfectly honest. But I liked the way it ended. I think it ended realistically. It's like a happy ending. It was, yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed the way that it ended, that it wrapped up. So very happy about that. I still don't think it wasn't as good as her adult romance, personally, for all the reasons that I've said, but still a really good time. Just Mallory annoyed me a little bit, I'm not gonna lie, but I did start another book last night, and by start I mean I like read 9 pages. It is an anticipated release, it is a brand new release. And another one that I didn't put, did I put this on my TBR at the start of this video? I don't know, but it's Wildfire by Hannah Grace. So I really loved Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. I didn't like the epilogue, but I really liked it. And so I actually forgot that I pre-ordered this. And so when it came, I got really excited. This is about Russ and a woman named Aurora. And it's a college romance. It's kind of a sport romance, but I don't think the hockey aspect will be much of a big thing in this one, whereas in Icebreaker it slightly was, which is why I fucking loved it. But I started reading that and I really like it. I like it. Like, again, I'm only like 9 pages in, but I enjoy this. I like Russ, to be honest. I think he's quite a gentle giant. Aurora already reminds me slightly of Stassi, or Anastasia from the first book. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, so I've already started a new book. I would like to finish this in the next couple of days because I'm going to Phillip Island on Friday, and I don't want to be reading this in Phillip Island because I have books that I want to read specifically in Phillip Island because I'm going with Hannah. So I would like to read, I think we're going to be buddy reading some new releases together. So, but I'm going to continue my day because it's a day of work. I have some RA work that I need to do, which is actually really fun. I'm analysing interview data, which I freaking love. I really love analysing interview data. It's just so interesting and so fun. I should probably turn on some devices, don't you think? So let's turn on my computer. I'm going to do actual work now, and whatever I read, I will keep you updated. Also, do you like our Christmas tree? Isn't it adorable? Mum and I decided to put up the Christmas tree last weekend. So we haven't actually put up the Christmas tree for like did we put it up last year? I don't remember, but we like, Christmas sometimes we just can't be bothered, but this year we're like, no, let's put up the Christmas tree. Anyway, I will talk to you soon. Good afternoon, friends. Oh, I'm just gonna put my head, looks weird. Anyway, it is Friday afternoon and I want to talk about the book that I just finished, Wildfire by Hannah Grace. I finished it last night. I gave it 4 stars. I really liked this. Not as much as I loved Icebreaker, but I really enjoyed it. I think Russ in this, because the characters that we're focusing on, Russ and Aurora. Russ is part of obviously the hockey team that we're introduced to in Icebreaker, which is the first book in this series. I love him. I really truly love him. He's almost too perfect. But he has flaws, which is good, thank God. But I think he's really the star of the show. Aurora was... This is a book that I don't know. It kind of romanticizes mental health issues. Listen, kind of. What I mean by that is Aurora is, and even Russ, they both have really tumultuous, slightly abusive relationships with their fathers, okay? They don't seek help. Aurora, for instance, is very self-aware of how her dad impacts her everyday life and how she essentially like jumps into the nearest man's arms because she seeks that attention so badly. They're so self-aware, but they do nothing about it in terms of like seeking actual help. And they make jokes about it. And it's like, there was this one instance where Russ, there's a family emergency, so he only tells the camp, like one of the camp, she's the daughter of the owner of the camp, right? But she like essentially is the, I don't know, the vice deputy, whatever you want to call it. She's one of the main people, Jenna, of the camp. So he goes to her and says, my father's in hospital, I need to go. And she's like, go for it, go. But he doesn't tell anyone else. And yes, Russ should have maybe texted his friends and also maybe texted Aurora, who was more than a friend, but not really, they weren't, you know, engaged in anything romantic or sexual at the time. But he didn't because of his own issues. But when Russ comes back, Aurora tells him, like, you know, when you didn't text me, when you didn't tell me what was going on, and Jenna wasn't saying anything, because obviously she wasn't, it's a confidentiality thing. I was very close to like going to Clay, another man in the camp who has been trying to flirt with her, going to Clay and like seeking attention from him, but I didn't. And it's just like, first of all, think about what you just said. Like, there are some times where I felt like Russ would say something or do something and then Aurora would make it about her. And then kind of, it wasn't written like it was trauma comparison, but it kind of felt like that a little bit, right? So it was kind of strange, to be perfectly honest. I just was really hoping that Aurora would make the decision to like go see someone and actually talk this through, instead of it being like, oh, I'm with Russ now, someone like loves me for me and like only like, you know, chooses me first and loves me and pays attention to me. And she has like one phone conversation with her dad where she's like, I'm not going to your wedding because, you know, I'm sick of you making me feel like I'm less than, and like, that's it. And that's all it is. Whereas with Russ, we get like the storyline of his father seeking him out and going, I know that I fucked your life up because of my gambling addiction. So I'm gonna now, like, and my words don't really have any impact unless I do something. So I'm going to do something because I don't want to not have my family. I don't want to lose my family. He has like this rock bottom moment and he tries really hard. And then like in the epilogue, which is placed like 9-ish years later, Russ's father is in the picture and he's, you know, sober and he's a mentor for Gamblers Anonymous. So like Russ's dad gets the work and like like he goes to rehab, and so his family is like a part of that journey, whereas Aurora and her father and even her mum and her sister, like they don't really get that much attention. And so I feel like there needed to be maybe a bit, it's a big book kind of for a romance, but I feel like there needed to be a bit more just detail a little bit about that. I don't know. I feel like I enjoyed it, but I didn't love it. Actually, no, I did like it. I really, really liked it. I would reread this. I would. And maybe what I'm saying would have no bearing on how I like felt. But when I was it was like something that was quite glaring to me. I'm just like, okay, Aurora, you need help. This is not healthy. Even just like your dependence on Russ a little bit. Yeah. Does that make sense? Okay. But other than that, enjoyed it. I really like the way Hannah Grace does romance, right? Like I like the tension build up. I like, there's not really, well in this one, there isn't really a third act conflict. There's like, you know, a focus a lot on communication and like talking, again, because they're really self-aware of like their own issues, which is a good thing, but can also be limiting in some ways. But it was just a really good romance. If you just want a good romance, if you want to feel happy at the end, then read this, because yeah. And then I found out that who the third book's going to be about, and I'm really excited because there was a random mention of this character named Harley. Harley? And I was like, okay, why would we mention this random character who I've never, like, who doesn't even get any page time, just like a random mention of this name. And then I looked on Instagram like a day later, and Hannah Grace announced that the next book, I think called Daydream or Daydreamers, is about Harley and Henry. And Henry is a character who I love. I love Henry. We meet him in Icebreaker. He's a sweetheart and a painter, and I'm very excited about him and this new character that we kind of only just mentioned in this one. But I'm really excited for, I hope we get to get the story of Alexander, because we meet Xander in this at the camp, and I really, really liked him. I really hope he gets his own book in this series, even though he's not technically part of the hockey team. But like Ryan, who is a character we meet in Icebreakers, because him and Stassi have like a friends with benefits thing going on, and him and Aurora also have a friends with benefits thing going on in the beginning of this. I hope we get his story as well, because I think that would be cute, even though he's not part of the hockey team. But like, that'd be fun. I don't know, but there's like so much you could do with this series, and I'm really happy and I'm really excited to see what Hannah Grace gives us next. Okay, and I know that books are at least going to play a part of the next book of this series, because Hallie is also an English major, which Aurora is, but she organizes like a book club, and I think from the epilogue of this, I think Hallie becomes like a best-selling author, just like an implication from something that Henry said. But yeah, so very happy, 4 stars, gonna continue this series. It's just, it makes me feel good. It does. It really does. I don't know what my next book's gonna be. So when I decide, you will know, because I will talk to you about it. I don't feel like reading Love Theoretically by Hazelwood because I just read Check and Mate by her. And I don't feel like reading Cursed Crowns. So we shall see what happens. I have a meeting to get to now, so bye. I wanted to give an update because I finished a book yesterday and I didn't update you at all during my reading of it because I read it that quickly, and I read Bookshops and Bonedust by Baldree, another book that was not on my TBR for this video, I know, but I finished it. This book was fantastic. If you don't know what this book is about, it follows Viv when she's significantly younger than when we saw her or when we meet her in Legends and Lattes. This is considered the prequel to Legends and Lattes. So she's young, she's rash, she's arrogant, she gets injured, she goes to a seaside town to heal and recover. There she meets Fern and Pot Roast. Fern owns the local bookshop. It's not doing too well, and so Viv basically like helps out, and it's a story about found family, but also a story about first love. So Viv does meet a woman, or a goblin, a gnome. Oh my god, I forgot the race of Maylee. She meets Maylee, she's a baker, and it's adorable, but like obviously we know that they're not endgame. This is a story about just like firsts, and it was so wonderfully written. There is a stark difference, I think, in the writing to this in comparison to Legends and Lattes. I found Travis's writing in this one to be much more sophisticated and just flows better. Someone just saw me. Sorry, I'm not at home. I'm in Phillip Island, as you can see. So I'm not, there's like people running around everywhere. Anyway, and it's just, I feel like it's just like so much better written than Legends and Lattes, even though Legends and Lattes was amazing, but this was fantastic. I also loved the way that this ended because yes, it was bittersweet, but the epilogue of this, fantastic. And it was the perfect way of like bridging the two stories together. I loved it. It was so wonderful, but I still think, even though this is considered a prequel, you need to read Legends and Lattes first, or else the epilogue would make absolutely no sense, or else the little bits and pieces that like happen in Bookshops and Bonedust that affect Legends and Lattes you won't realize. And I feel like making those connections makes the story so much more like richer. So I still think you need to read Legends and Lattes first before reading Bookshops and Bonedust, but this was absolutely fantastic. I loved just everything about this book. I loved it. And honestly though, it felt slightly like higher stakes. There's like a big bad, she's a necromancer, and things happen because I feel like it follows Viv around. It's adorable, but I loved it. Hannah and I read this yesterday at the same time, so it was really fun. So yeah, we just smashed through it. It is the perfect book to read on an afternoon, really. I loved it. I loved it so much. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Oh god. But yeah, I wanted to update you because even though this isn't on my TBR for this vlog, it was one of my most anticipated releases of 2023, so definitely had to put this in here. I loved it. Read it. If you haven't read Legends and Lattes, please do so, and then read this. You will not regret it. But yeah, so I will keep you updated. I think I'm going to be reading A Power Unbound by Freya Marske next, because that's the book that I brought with me. I'm terrified, but also so excited. to like finish off the last binding trilogy. And again, that book was not on my TBR for this vlog because it literally came just before I left for Phillip Island. So it put me in such a great mood. The vibes were immaculate with this one. The vibes are immaculate. I didn't bring my like stand. What's it called? You know what I mean? So it's a struggle to figure out how to film this. Anyway, I finished A Power Unbound yesterday. I started and finished it. It's really easy to get through. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. The problem is, I don't think any of these books could ever get to like a marvelous light levels of amazing. I found A Restless Truth to be really good, but it's just not like incredible. I think because it was the timeline, it was, I think everything happened in like 2 weeks. A Power Unbound, like time is moving, but I felt like there wasn't a lot of time really spent between Alan and Jack. I think because there was just so much happening plot wise that we didn't really get a lot of time spent between the two of them. Whereas I think A Marvelous Light did that really well, where we spent so much time with Robin and Edwin that you believed in their story. So I think my one criticism is that I wanted more time with them. And it felt like, well, I guess you could also say that they've known each other for a while because they were both on the boat in A Restless Truth, but I don't know. Anyway, it was really good. It was just mainly kind of ending that major plot arc regarding like magic in Britain and people in power wanting to essentially like steal everyone's magical ability in order for like one person to do everything. And that one person was George Bastoke, who's actually Jack's cousin, and was it him? Yeah, him and his father did something to Jack and Elsie, his twin sister, that like eventually resulted in Elsie committing suicide. So it's like a big plot line, and I'm really happy with how that turned out. I do like the found family aspect. I think that was really gorgeous. I gave it 4.5 stars. Like, I still absolutely loved it, loved my experience of reading it. They also had this random plot line where Adelaide and Robin get married because, well, it's not really like, I think it's for protection of Adelaide because of everything that's happening in terms of like this whole magic stuff, but also because I think like she's getting a lot of pressure from her family to marry, and it's maybe to like also ensure that Robin doesn't get questioned. I don't know. It wasn't really like spoken about very much. It's like randomly said that they're engaged, and like not even in the beginning. It's like close to like maybe 100 or 200 pages from the end, and then like nothing. And then it's mentioned, I think overall it's mentioned like maybe 3 times. It was so random, and I don't know if that was necessary for the plot, because it felt like Freya Mars was like, oh, we need to do something with Adelaide's character, and so we would do this, because she didn't really do much. There was not really much of her in the story. She was there and she was like getting things done in the background, but that's really it. And I when that plot line happened, I was just like, okay, what? So random. But at least she has now the security and the financial stability to do whatever the fuck she wants. So I guess it's great for her. and for Robin, because no one will really be looking at him, and Edwin, possibly. I don't know. It was just a weird thing, and I felt like if you wanted to give Adelaide, who is this really awesome character, something to happen to her, I feel like it could have just been thought about a bit better, maybe? I don't know. It just felt really random, and it was kind of annoying, but I am a very critical reader sometimes, but I really enjoyed it. I'm really happy that I read it. Very quick read. Very quick read. So that's always a fun thing. I love how I'm reading most of these books that I'm reading for this vlog. Didn't intend to. Like, just these books that were, I forgot they were pre-orders that I'm just like reading now. But it gives more fun to the vlog, don't you think? Yeah. But yeah, I'm in Phillip Island. I think I mentioned that yesterday. Phillip Island is around about like, I want to say like an hour and a half, 2 hours out from Melbourne, like in the city. And it's literally an island. It's just this tiny little island that's not quite so tiny. I always forget how big Phillip Island actually is. And it's like, there's like a beach, like it's just really chill, really easy. I'm at like a resort in Cowes. We get like our own little cabin. It's really cute. There's like possums that love banging on the roof. It's very quintessentially Australian. There's all eucalyptus trees everywhere. It's great. There's also heaps of geese. Was not expecting the geese, to be perfectly honest. Oh, and you will all be very happy that yes, in Cowes there are heaps of cows. They're everywhere. Farms of cows everywhere, and they're beautiful. I really love Phillip Island. I forget that I love Phillip Island, but when I come, I'm just like, oh, it's so relaxing. The vibes here are very just chill, especially if you're not, only if you're not coming to Phillip Island when there's less tourists. Like, this is a very tourist island. But we're not in the tourist season at the moment, so it's very chill. And we had incredible fish and chips last night. So fucking good. And we watched some Critical Role, which was awesome. And yeah, now I'm gonna make myself, I think I'm just gonna make myself a tea and continue reading whatever I choose to read. I think I'm going to keep it chill today. It is Monday, so I am taking the day off from like doing anything work related, but I'm trying to remember not to do anything work related. You know what I mean? I'm trying not to open up my emails and stuff. But anyway, I'm going to make myself a tea and figure out what I want to read next and go from there. Actually, it's a lie. I already started reading a book, so... Good morning, everyone. It is Saturday morning and it's 11 o'clock. I just got out of bed. Mum and I jumped into bed with Mum this morning and we decided just to like watch YouTube and read in bed. Like, it was perfect. Anyway, I wanted to give a quick update. I started reading Cursed Crowns by Catherine Doyle and Catherine Whipper. I really am enjoying this. This is book 2 in the Twin Crowns series. I don't even know what the series is called, but book 1 was Twin Crowns, which I read, I think, was it last year or the year before? I don't remember. And I really enjoyed it for like a young adult novel. I thought it was fun, like it was good. Like, I had fun, right? And that's all that matters, especially with young adult fantasy. So I've got my like dog's hair on my face and I can feel it. Anyway, so I am 202 pages in and I'm enjoying it. I am. I can't not say that I'm enjoying it. I read a shitload last night because it's just so easy to read. In a not a weird turn of events, but kind of, I'm finding Ren to be annoying, which she wasn't as annoying. I look so pale and ghostly, oh my god. She wasn't like as annoying in book 1. She's very brash and headstrong, which is great, right? But she never thinks. She doesn't think, and she doesn't anticipate the consequences of her own actions. And so she's like put herself in a really stupid fucking position. But Rose, I really enjoy Rose. She is the one that I actually don't know if I've ever spoken about this. Have I? I don't remember, but I found Rose's character in Twin Crowns because she kind of starts off really unlikable, and her development is insane, absolutely insane. It's just such great character development, and you still see that sort of development happening here in Cursed Crowns, and I really enjoy her character. I think her internal monologue is very much showing this tension between being a queen and being a sister and a woman without having the burden of the crown, and it's really cool. Ren is in La La Land. She's a bit annoying, but I'm hoping to see what happens. But yeah, I'm thoroughly enjoying myself. This is exactly what I needed. Like, it's just a very light-hearted young adult fantasy, and I think we're going to get more in terms of like the world lore, and I'm excited to see that. Ren is currently in a different kingdom and is kind of like the enemy kingdom, because of course it is, because she needs to save her grandmother. It's like, babe, what did you think was going to happen? Such an idiot. And she just like left her sister. Anyway, she just leaves her sister in the middle of the night. Like, what the fuck? But I'm kind of hoping that her and the king of this like enemy kingdom fall in love. But I don't know if he's actually meant to be the villain. Like, I'm really confused as to who's meant to be the villain, because like, is he the big bad and like the other stuff that's happening like little bads? Or is like the enemies to lovers truly like enemies to lovers, which I hope it is, because that would be really cool. And I'm honestly really interested. Like, I'm only really interested in Ren's perspective because of that possibility. Rose is just, I just love her. I just really love her. She's kind of in love with Shen, who's like a warrior witch, who's Ren's best friend, but she's a queen, and it's difficult because she knows that if she was to get married or be public with a relationship, it needs to be with the kingdom in mind, and a lot of tension. There's a lot of tension, and I really like the way they've written that tension, because you don't really see that, I think, in these types of young adult fantasy, and I just love it. I love it. So I'm excited to see what happens. It's definitely like, it's like Twin Crowns, it's like a 4-star good read, you know what I mean? Like, this is a series that I will be reading, which is so exciting for me as someone who is falling out of love with young adult fantasy and young adult in general. So I will keep you updated. I'm gonna have my tea now because I am desperate for a cup of tea and some biscuits. So I'm gonna do that now. I finished Cursed Crowns. I really liked it. Let me just put you down. See if you can be put down in a way that you won't fall. Awkward angle. I really liked it, everyone. Let's have a celebration. I gave it 4 stars. Okay, so where did I leave off? Oh, excuse me, that was my computer. Where did I leave off? Like 200 pages in, I think I said. And that's right, Ren was annoying me, but not enough to stop the book. I really liked it. What happened at the end, I wasn't expecting. I wasn't expecting the various, I guess, like twists. What do you call them, twists? There's like a random battle at the end that I was like, what? I forgot that that was brewing. I just think it was so good, and it was really fun and light-hearted, but like high stakes for young adult fantasy. And you have King Alaric, who I really like. And then we have what's happening with Shen Lo, and just like things are expanding. I feel like this one is definitely the installment where things feel a bit more expansive. Like it feels like not only are the characters like getting a bit more of a development in terms of their personalities and just like their storylines, but the world itself is also being expanded. I mean, we got to see some of the seers in they live in a particular area that's behind a forest that's the air is poison, and so we got to see some of them. And one of the characters who's a seer called Fathom, he was absolutely fabulous. And then you meet Grandmother Lou, who was Shen's nanny, and I need a novella, like a prequel. Catherine Doyle or Catherine Webber, if you are watching this, I highly doubt you are, but if you are, first of all, oh my god, hi. Second of all, can we please have a novella about Grandmother Lou? She is such a badass. She is so hilarious. The scene where she's just like like using her like cane or her walking stick or whatever she had, and just like belting Kai, is his name Kai, for being for trying to kill Shen, was just the most funniest scene. I was pissing myself. I need her story. The whole sun-kissed kingdom aspect of this plot was just so good. It was just so good. I just really liked it. I really liked it, and I'm so happy that I enjoyed it. I feel like I read it quite quickly, considering, and I can't wait for the next one to come out. It's already got a cover on Goodreads. I am so excited. I hope it comes out early next year. It's just so fun to read. Like Six Crimson Cranes, Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea, maybe with a hint of like, not belladonna. I'm trying to think of like young adult fantasy that I've actually enjoyed. I feel like it's just more the vibes of Six Crimson Cranes. If you liked Daughter of the Moon Goddess, you might enjoy Cursed Crowns. I didn't like Daughter of the Moon Goddess. Is that a controversial opinion? But I feel like it's a similar vibe of kind of like this warrior aspect, but also magic. And I just really like it. I really like it. As someone who doesn't partake in young adult fantasy much anymore, I am so happy. I'm so happy. So there we go. There we go. I've already started reading the next book that I want to read for this vlog, but I'm not going to tell you until I get a bit more further into it. But I did talk about it for my TBR. I'm trying to now go back to my TBR that I did at the start of this video. Good morning, everyone. It is Monday, and I started reading Love Theoretically yesterday, and I got through so much. So let's just oh my god, what happened here? Okay, sorry for the overhead. You just have to deal with it for now. I started reading Love Theoretically yesterday, and literally I'm 304 pages in. I read 300 pages yesterday in a few hours. The one thing that I love about romance is that it's so easy to read. Like it's so pacey, and I'm wearing ridiculous pants. Oh my god. Look at my pants. I don't know what possessed me to like purchase these pants, but they're in my wardrobe. So I read so much of this yesterday. And I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, so we have Elsie, who just finished like her PhD in the past year. So we have that kind of in common. And she's working as an adjunct professor, which from what I understand is what we would call sessional teaching at the university level. It's just like you're casual, you have like no benefits basically. We get superannuation though. The adjunct professors don't. So anyway, that's what I'm kind of feeling like that's what it is. I have no idea. Anyway, and she's working ridiculous amount of time, like she's teaching so many classes for very little pay, and she's also diabetic, so she is sacrificing like a lot of, I feel like, again, I don't know how much insulin is in America, but she needs like a new pod. She requires, I think, more insulin, but because she has like no health insurance and she has very little money, she's in like it's really tough. And so what she does is she works for this fake dating app called Faux, and that's all it is. Like it's fake dating. So if you want a girlfriend, or I'm guessing just a partner, you go on this app, and that's where Elsie works, and her best friend Cece also works as a fake girlfriend. So it basically says on the blurb, like, she is fake girlfriending for a man named Greg. Greg's brother is Jack. Jack immediately is obsessed, but he feels so bad because he's like, oh, what am I doing? Like, she is my brother's girlfriend, because there really is like nothing to say that she isn't, until Elsie gets a job interview for MIT, and it's like her dream job, and Jack is on the panel that will like essentially assess if she's good enough for the job. And Jack's like, aren't you a librarian? And Elsie's like, aren't you a physical education teacher? There was like a miscommunication in the beginning about Jack's career, and Greg the brother never finished his sentence, so she just assumed he meant physical education teacher when it's actually he's a physicist. Super funny. And it just starts this entire thing of like, Jack is like, does Greg know? Like, you've been lying to him, and she didn't want to tell Jack Greg's personal business and like why he wanted a fake girlfriend. So, which I think is like, she could have very easily just done that, but then betrayed the trust of Greg. So I like that she's stuck to her guns and was like, no, you need to talk to your brother. Like, I can't tell you his personal shit. Like, no, you need to have that conversation with him. So I like that. But it gets out of the bag, like the secret comes out anyway, and I'm really enjoying it. I love Elsie and Jack. They're so gosh darn adorable. I really resonate heavily with Elsie. Jack he's kind of hilarious. He loves her so much. Like, he fell first, and the way that he is with Elsie is so precious, because Elsie changes herself to suit what she believes the people that she's with wants her to be. So that's why she went into fake girlfriending, because she's a master at like shape-shifting, essentially. Like, if you need a woman who, you know, is a farmer, or like I don't know why I said that. What was that example? But she can very easily mold herself into what you want her to be. And she does that with everyone in her life, even her family. She does that with her supervisor, or like, and her mentor. She does that even with her best friend. But Jack, she can't do it because Jack has like a really killer poker face. So she doesn't know what he wants from her. So in her frustration of not knowing what he wants from her, and not being able to mold herself in like this perfect Elsie that he would like, she's herself entirely with him. And it's just the most precious thing. I really like the exploration of that aspect of her character, because it's definitely stemming from like her childhood and feeling like a burden because of her diagnosis of diabetes. And it's just really well done. Cece, her best friend, I really hope gets her own novel because she's fabulous. I hope, though, Elsie has a conversation with Cece about the fact that she is faking aspects of herself to like make the friendship easier. I don't know. And what else did I want to say? Oh, the entire thing about the job interview and how the job interview was a bad faith interview. Basically, it's what happens a lot in academia. A lot of the job listings that you see, a lot of them are already tailored for someone. So even this is especially seen in research assistant positions, and like what are they called, like postdoctoral fellowships and postdoctoral positions. They have to advertise it externally and internally, but majority of the time these jobs are for a specific person. And so that basically happens with Elsie. And I really like that Allie Hazelwood is exploring this like institutional culture of academia, because it really sucks. Like I don't think people understand like how much you have to rely on your networking and like who your supervisors are. And a lot of the time it's not based on the merit of your research, it's based on who can get into the ear of someone else. And it makes it really, really hard, because you find that the people who have supervisors that are, you know, the deans or like the, you know, deputy something and really high leadership positions within the academy or within a university, you find that their PhD students get a lot of those type of positions. And I've had experience with that, especially with like research assistant positions, where the position is literally for a specific person, but they have to go through the job interview process. And it's a horrible feeling, especially when you find out later. And so it really is resonating with me. And I like the fact that Allie Hazelwood is highlighting this aspect of academia, because it's like a silent thing that people don't necessarily talk about, and it needs to be talked about because it's really frustrating, especially women and like women of color. And it feels like there are so many more obstacles and barriers. So I like that Allie Hazelwood is doing that, and I really like the way that she makes Elsie like really, like when it happens, when she finds out, she's like, oh, like fucking hell, like the person that got it though is like a powerhouse in the field, and she's also a woman, and she feels so bad of like her immediate response to when she finds out that this person, Georgina, got the position. And she apologizes because she's like, I became the people who would essentially like undermine me. And I really like that, because she's all about supporting women and making sure that women are getting into these positions in STEM especially. And I just really like that exploration, like that balance between like feeling so fucking horrible and annoyed that a position, it was never going to be like, you weren't even in the running, it was a bad faith job interview, right? Like that feeling, and feeling kind of annoyed and bitter, but then also just like, oh, but like we need to celebrate this. Like I love this book. I love it so much, and I'm going to finish it today. I just think this is fantastic. I think honestly it's maybe my favorite Allie Hazelwood. It might be like my actual favorite Allie Hazelwood that I've read, but we'll see. We shall see. But yeah, I'll keep you updated when I finish it. I'm telling you, it's a 5-star read. I just finished Love Theoretically. I loved it. I gave 5 stars. It was so good. It was so good. Oh, I think it's my favorite Allie Hazelwood. I loved it. Everything I said basically just continued. Obviously there was a third act conflict, but I think it was necessary for Elsie to just figure out what she wanted and who she was. I just really loved it. It was so good. It was so good. 5 stars. I'm so happy I read it. Oh my god. What a great way to end this vlog. What a great way to end this vlog. Holy fucking shit. Oh, it gave me so much joy. Anyway, that is the end of the reading vlog. I'm so happy that you stayed for this long, to be perfectly honest, because I feel like this is gonna be a doozy. I read a lot of books. I read a shitload of books, and I read some incredible books. I mean, so many 5 stars in this vlog. So I'm just so excited. I'm just so excited. Oh god, that was really fun. Thank you so much for watching. I love reading. I will see you all next week. Take care, stay safe, and happy reading. Bye.